Hey, that's not a good way to start having a no connection. So I'm just gonna wait a minute. Ooh, I can play with filters. Let's pop. Let's pop. But I can't choose a filter. Ooh, that's a nice filter. So I'm just gonna wait a second until people join. Ooh, I can be green. Like a terrifying elf. Country. Black and white. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so here we go. How do I close filters? How do I go back to normal? Here we go. All right. Hey, Amber. So I want to talk. Hey, Neha. So I want to talk about why it's so hard to get what we want. So I've been working on this in the mastermind group that I run, and people hit, hey Samantha, so we hit on the same three things, the same three challenges. All of us hit on one of three challenges, which is good. And there's a couple moving pieces. So I want to explain first how the process of getting what you want works. So it's easy to say like, oh, well, I want something, but that's actually a couple of different things all wrapped into one. It's the vision. It's the vision itself of this is what I want. So it's deciding what we want. It's the belief that what you want is possible, both in the realm of existence and for you. And then there's the action that brings you or brings what you want into your life or makes you available and open to receiving what it is that you want. So just saying this is what I want is actually three different parts. It's the vision of what you want, knowing what you want, the conviction that you can have it and that it's possible for you, and then creating the circumstances that allow it into your life. So three different things. And that's where we start to get into some trouble, because it's not as simple as saying, I want that, and then it happens. For some people it is, like we have parables of Jesus and things like that. For some people, they're living in that world where they think something and it instantly manifests. But for the rest of us, we've piled on these beliefs. We're not living in that continual and expansive state of love and connection to everything, that we realize everything is just an extension of us or just the same as us. So we're not instantly manifesting, which means we get these really frustrating circumstances where we say we want something and then it takes a while to show up, or we think we want something and then we get something different. Or we've all had those unanswered prayers, right? Where we say we want something, we get something totally different, and we think, thank goodness I didn't get what I want. So there's a couple of forces at play there. Hey, Liam and Jessica and another Jessica. Thank you guys for being here. You can see I'm all woofly today. I just went wild yesterday after my bath. Big hair. But thank you for being here. Hey, Lee. So there's a couple other forces. So there's conviction, which is knowing what you, or the vision, which is knowing what you want, the conviction, which is believing that it's possible for you, and then there's the action, which is what you do to prepare for it to come into your life and make space for it and become the person who's able to have what it is that you want. And then there's the intention that's below all of that. So there are these four places we can get hung up. Some of us get hung up with the vision. We actually don't know what we want. So you might say that, oh, I want to have $20,000 in a new car. But another part of you might actually think that people who have that much money and people who have a car like the one you want are actually big jerks. If you had all that, it means that your family wouldn't like you. If you had that, it means that you would have to work too hard to get it. So we have a vision of what we want. We say, I want this. But then we also hold a vision of why we don't want that. And it's playing out in the background. So that's one of the areas that we get stuck and we don't end up getting what we want, because we're holding a completely contradictory version. Hey, Liam, a completely contradictory belief at the same time. So this is really, hey, John, so this is really huge for people who we know, like you feel like you know what you want, but it's just not happening. And that's probably because there's also beliefs about what it is that you want and why they can't happen for you. Hey, Shauna. So a great example is like people who say, I want to be a millionaire. And then, that it doesn't seem, well, we'll get into that. But so we say, I want to be a millionaire, but then we've assumed that being a millionaire means that I'm going to have to work all the time, that I will have to like get rid of all my friends because they won't understand me anymore, that I don't know how to manage money, so there's no way I could hold on to $1 million. So all of that is playing in the background. It's like the subconscious track that's going on in the background. And while up front you're saying, I want to be a millionaire, in back you're saying, no way, it's not possible. So we're at conflict with each other. We're conflicting. So we want to get clear on what it is that you want, what it is that you actually want, but you want on enough of a level that you are willing to move through all of those contradictory beliefs. Because the process of becoming ourselves, the process of being in a position with life where we can say, I want this, and then go ahead and get it, is like a really expansive, massive process, right? It makes us feel really powerful. And most of us are afraid of feeling that powerful. So the process of becoming that person who can then create the life that you want is a big opening. It's a big opening. And it's going to mean that we pull up and clean out a lot of the junk and the bad beliefs that we don't need to be carrying with us. So the first piece is the vision piece, know what you want, and then check out where you get blocked on the things that you think that means, because that means that we say we know what we want, but then we're stopping ourselves from getting it. The second piece is the conviction piece. So a lot of us think, okay, this is what I want, but we don't believe it's possible. Like, oh, I'd love to be in movies, but I don't think it's possible because you're not good enough, you don't live in the right place, you don't know enough people, you don't have the connections, you're not working hard enough, so we don't have the strength of conviction that what we want is actually possible for us, either because the world makes it impossible or because we think we're not good enough or right enough or skinny enough or rich enough or smart enough or connected enough or whatever it is. So this self-belief piece can be really tricky because most of us think and know on a deep level that you can have whatever you want. We feel that. We've had that success before in our lives, right? Where you focused on something and you went and you did it. And it was really, you're like, yeah, I just did it. It was not hard. I just did it. But then when we think we want something and we aren't making it happen, then we're like, wait, I don't understand. Why aren't I able to get it? And a lot of it comes down to self-belief. And we may think we believe in ourselves, but there might still be some beliefs about why it's not available to you. So Robert Holden, who's this really cool guy in the UK who runs, I think it's called the Happiness Project. I apologize if I got that wrong. And I can include the link. Hey, Joanna. I can include the link to his site below, but he talks about, actually, Joanna and I were talking about this last night. Robert Holden talks about your happiness set point in life and that most of us have chosen a number of what's appropriate for our lives. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is you're a miserable failure and 10 means you're Mick Jagger, you've chosen a number in the middle. So we each do that every day as well. So you may have a vision, you may have a desire to say like, I want a Rolls Royce in my life. I want a Rolls Royce. Okay, so say we are very clear on that vision. We've cleaned out all the things around what it means to have a Rolls Royce. So we've done the vision work. We're totally clear on what it is that we want. And there's no like negative feelings to that. But then we may not have the conviction that it's possible for people like us to have a Rolls Royce. Because, well, if I had a Rolls Royce, then, I just can't because I've never had more than a Ford. Or I've never paid more than $20,000 for a car, so how could I possibly have a $100,000 car? Or, well, people like me or the town where I live in or families like mine, we just don't do that kind of thing. So we might have these beliefs deep down about why it is we can't have the thing that we want, and that's the conviction piece. So the vision piece is the belief around what it is that we want and why, and more like what are the negative sides of getting it. That's the vision piece. And the conviction piece is why is it that we can't actually have it? Why is it that it's not right for you? So we may be really lacking, and this is actually where excuses come up. But we'll talk about that in just a second. And the last piece is action. So action, a lot of us think is external action. It's about doing things outside of us. It's about taking those steps to like make the money or connect with the people or all of that. And it is, but it's also internal action because we have to create space. We have to become the person who can live in that vision. So if we think, okay, I want $1 million, but right now we have $5, then $5 you can't have $1 million. They don't go together. They're not the same person. $5 you and $1 million you are not the same person. Now, part of where we get ourselves caught up is what we negatively assume about $1 million you, but once we clear out that negativity, we have to then bring ourselves up to $1 million you. So the action that we take, yes, some of it is external action, but a lot of it is this internal preparatory action, becoming the person. That means the habits that person would have, the thoughts that that person would think, the way of speaking that that person would speak, the way of treating themselves that person would do. So we actually have to embody in our day-to-day lives the vision that we have for ourselves. So we're pre-creating it. We're creating the atmosphere for it so that it can thrive and come in. It's like taking prenatal vitamins before you get pregnant. Like you're creating a really good environment so that that thing that you want can thrive. And that's the same thing. So we create the environment in ourselves. Hey, Joe, we create the thing that we want in ourselves and we live it every day. That's the action. And then that creates the environment for the vision to actually be fulfilled because we're becoming the person that's in that vision. So if you have any questions, type them in. So where we get blocked up with action is that we tend to take action outside of ourselves. So, hey, so I want to talk now about, hey, Lindsay. So we've got the vision piece is the first piece. So we say, yes, I want something, but that's actually three different things. It's the vision that I want. What is it that I actually want? The conviction of do I believe I can have it? And then the action, which is preparing the framework, or getting the ground laid so that it can actually come into your life and you become the person capable of living it. So we hang ourselves up and we hit three challenges. The challenge with the vision is that we might hold negative beliefs about what it would mean to have that thing in our lives that we're just not acknowledging. So we think, oh, $1 million would be great. It would be absolutely wonderful, but there's probably some sneaky negative thoughts about what it would actually be like if you had $1 million. So we have to clear those out. We get hung up in conviction because we might not fully believe that either we're capable of it or that it's possible for people like us. So we want to dig into that and see if that's where we get stuck. And then with action, we get tripped up thinking that action is all outside of us instead of about actually becoming the person that can fulfill that vision. So we end up doing a lot instead of being a lot, if that makes sense. So, all right, does anybody have any questions? There's one more thing I want to say, but I've been talking and I got a little caught up and lost, and now I'm trying to get back to what it is I wanted to say about that. Don't you love it? I just had it too, and I was like, no, I'll wait. If anybody remembers what I said, hey, Nicole, what was it? What was it? Nicole, I'm just trying to think of what it is I was just saying. And I was like, oh, I'll get back to that in just a second. And of course, then it's gone. So there's 3 steps. We'll just repeat and hopefully it'll come to me. So there's 3 steps to saying what it is that I want. So we think, I want $1 million. We'll just use this example. I want $1 million, but that's a vision. That's a vision of something that you want. So we have to get clear on what it is that you want. And sometimes we may struggle there. And if you're unclear on what you want, I love the process of starting with what you don't want. So you can make a list of all the things you don't want in your life and that you know you don't want. And then you can go to the thesaurus and look for opposites of that. Or you can envision what would be, it's right over my right shoulder. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it absolutely works with dating. So a vision for dating would not be, this is what I want in a partner. It would be, this is how I want to feel in a partnership. So that would be a better vision. So you could name all of the things that would be part of a partnership, all of the things that would be part of your life when you have this partnership in your life, the ways that you would feel. And then that's the vision piece. So we get clear on the vision, paint the picture. Like, I'm sitting with this, beautiful person. I feel totally safe. I'm able to laugh. I'm playful. Where I travel, all the things that you want in your vision, all the things that you want from as a result of a partnership. And then the conviction piece would be, well, do I deserve that? Am I worthy of that? If somebody came at me right now with all the love in the world and marriage proposals and all this stuff, or $1 million right now, would I hesitate? Or would I say, of course I deserve all that? So if your answer is like, actually, I might hesitate, or, it might make me a little uncomfortable, or somebody asked on Facebook the other day a brilliant question. If somebody walked up to you and handed you $500 on the street and said, you have to take this, would you feel guilty or weird or like, where's the hidden camera? Or would you say, thanks, this is me? Of course this happens to me. So that's a really great way to see that conviction piece. Do you believe that you are worthy of the thing that you say that you want? Do you believe that it's possible for you? Because a lot of us want really big things, right? We want really big things because on some level we can feel that it's true for us. We know that it's possible for us, but our minds might say differently. Our minds, hey Lona, oh, I'm so jealous of you right now in warm weather. So in our minds, we may actually be saying something different. We may actually be saying that, oh, I got so distracted by Lona sitting on the beach. Now I can't remember what I was saying. But the idea is that we do hold these beliefs, and almost all of us have them. So if you think that this doesn't apply to you, if you think the conviction piece and the am I worthy, is this possible for somebody like me? Do I believe that I'm actually capable of this and it's going to happen for me? This applies to almost all of us because our minds are, here we go, our minds are attached to social rules. So our soul knows, our soul can feel that a vision is possible. You can go into your vision, it feels amazing, and you're like, yeah, of course I can do that. But then we come back into life and we're in this personality, right? We're in this personality, we're in this socioeconomic status, we're in this career, we're in this relationship to other people. And so we've attached limitations to, oh good, that makes me feel better for you, but I'm glad you had a nice vacation. We've attached limitations to the way that we are now in life. So even though you are unlimited in your potential, our mind has adopted limitations. And they're just limitations to fit in and get by, right? Like we grew up in a certain family, in a certain town, in a certain place. We relate to people in a certain way. Like we've just gotten used to that. But all of those things are changeable now that we're adults, now that we're conscious adults who can decide to be different. And that be is the operative word. We're not doing different, we're being different. So all of us are going to hit up on something in this conviction level of, do I really believe it's possible? And so maybe it's just possible to have a few nice dates and not like a massive romance that's going to change everything and fly you off to China on the heart's notice or whatever it is. Or maybe it's possible to bring in $300 but not $500 because there's a belief level in there. So we want to get really clear on what those beliefs are. Again, so the vision is what you want, and tied up in the vision is the negative aspects of what you want. Like, but what does it really mean to have what I want? Am I going to want all of that? Because a lot of us think, like, wouldn't it be great to be Oprah? I don't know, would it? She seems really busy. Like, that's a lot. I don't know if I want really busy. And all those people constantly hounding her and quoting her and doing this and doing that. Like, what a lot of pressure. So we may have these negative things related to our vision that we're not noticing. And then there's the conviction. Do I really want this enough? Do I believe it's possible for me? Do I believe it's something I can have? And this is really where, like, so many of us, we see it probably in teens who are like, oh, I want to be a famous singer. And we're like, really, you? Because I don't know if that's possible for you. And so we do it to other people, right? Or we can see somebody want it and then be like, well, okay, but I'm not sure. You should probably lower your expectations. And so we're taking that level of conviction that people have in themselves and we're like just poking holes in it, which we all do to ourselves anyway, so we don't need to do it to other people. And then there's the action piece. And the action piece is creating the ability for what you want to come into your life. It's about becoming the person who can live it. And belief is a huge piece of this. So we all know, so if you say unintended consequences, yes, thank you. Okay, we'll pick up on that. So we all know that, we've heard people say like, oh, I really want to be like a basketball player. Just use this example. I really want to be a professional basketball player. And we're like, great, you have to practice. You have to have some natural talent, but mostly you have to practice. And then believe in yourself, have the determination, have all of this stuff, be in the right place at the right time, be a team player. Like all of these things come together. And 90% of that is believing that it's possible for you so that you take the actions that open you to creating it in your life. And by that, I'm getting to the fourth thing that's sort of umbrella holding all of this together, which is intention. So we have intentions for our lives, and this is like Robert Holden's happiness set point. We have decided on a subconscious level some things that we're working out in our lives. I call it life purpose. You can have an intention that's, not quite at the level of purpose, but still something for each like phase of life that you're in or a specific circumstance. And that intention is working its way out. And this is where we get into unintended consequences or unanswered prayers. So sometimes we get the opposite of what we thought we wanted, but it's exactly what we need. And we're grateful for that, and we're thankful for that, and we're like, oh, how funny. I didn't even see that coming. And so we think, but what about that thing I wanted? And then you get the lesson, and you're like, oh, yeah, I actually really needed that. I really needed that to grow. It doesn't mean what you want was off base. And it doesn't mean that what you want isn't going to happen. Oh, thanks, Joanna. Those are so pretty. It doesn't mean what you think isn't going to happen. What it means is that you have a bigger intention, like you are becoming the person who's able to do this. Hey, Christine. And we know by the feeling. Yes, exactly. So we're becoming the person who's able to have that thing that we said we wanted. So it's an iterative process. We're not there right now in an instant, because if we were, there'd probably be like an elephant in the room, because I keep thinking about elephants lately. So we're not there in an instant, but we are becoming the person who can get the thing that you want. So we give ourselves a little bit of slack here, right? And recognize those gifts along the way, because sometimes we're not ready. Sometimes we need to learn something first. Sometimes, like, all of those bad boyfriends or girlfriends that we had, and then all of a sudden we're in a good relationship and we're like, oh, I see why I had to go through all of that. I really needed to learn that, or I really needed to get that, or I really needed to treat myself differently. And now that I do, I can now honor myself in this relationship. So the action piece, a lot of that is preparing yourself to actually be able to live in the vision. And when you have this all coming together, when your intention is aligned with what you desire, then what happens is it pulls up a lot of crap, right? It pulls up really, really painful stuff. Painful stuff. Because anything that's stopping you from what you want has to get out of the way. It has to move. It's like running an obstacle course. We know there's a finish line, and you know you're going to cross it. Because if your vision is clear, your conviction is strong, and you're doing the actions to become that person, you're going to cross that finish line. It's like, was it Bob Proctor who said, just be like a stamp, stick yourself to the letter till it gets there? Like, you're going to get there. I don't know if that's who said that, but it's a great little quote. So we know we're going to get there, but along the way, we've got to clear some stuff out. So this process of becoming the person in your vision can be quite painful. And that's where the conviction really comes in handy. And that's where the vision comes in handy. Because when we hit in those actions and that becoming process and we get those hiccups, then we can get really dejected and we can feel really sad and we can doubt ourselves. And I do this all the time, so I get it. We're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Is this even worth it? What do I want anyways? Like, do I really want to go through all of this? Is there something on the other side of this? Because this pretty much feels like I'm falling apart. And that's where it's really helpful to think about that metaphor of the butterfly who turns into like a blob in the cocoon before it turns into a butterfly. Like it lets itself disintegrate. And that's what this process is about. When you have that vision that's so strong and you have the conviction that it's possible for you, it's going to be possible for you. It is possible for you. Nobody can say anything different. But the action piece is internal, right? A lot of the action is internal, and you've got to let yourself go with the flow. So when we think about people who have these amazing opportunities, like Charlize Theron, who was discovered having a hissy fit at the bank, and somebody was like, whoa, good hissy fit, you want to act? In that moment, she had prepared. She'd taken a leap of faith to move to the United States. She'd taken a leap of faith to take acting classes, and she let herself fly off the handle at this bank teller, poor bank teller. But then when a totally random stranger approaches her with an offer, she also had to be willing to accept it, right? So that's that kind of thing we're talking about. We can be in the right place at the right time, but if we're not preparing ourselves, if we're not laying the groundwork for this vision to come into our lives, then we're not actually saying yes to opportunities that show up, because we might view them through the lens of suspicion. We might view them through the lens of, no, that's not possible for somebody like me. That's too good to be true. We may not even see them. That's another thing. We may not even recognize an opportunity when it's there in front of us. And so then we keep getting stuck and keep getting tripped up, and we don't even know it. So does anybody have any questions or an example about something you want and aren't getting, and we could work through it. I, again, had that thing that Nicole said was over my right shoulder. I felt it come in, and then I lost it again as I was talking. I was like, oh, I won't lose it this time, but there it was. But if you have any questions, type. I know there's a little bit of a time lag, so I'll just wait just a second. Oh, I really want to tell you about this thing, too. I'm going to have to do another live video in like 5 minutes when I remember. Oh, okay. Well, enjoy your time with your nephews, Joe. Happy Christmas. Nice to talk to you. What is about... I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. It was about belief. Oh, well, I'm going to have to come right back on. I totally get the blob thing you're talking about. Sight, right? Yeah. So this is where we all get stuck, right? Because this is why we joined here. We saw a thing that was like on not getting what you want. And we're like, oh, I don't get what I want. I never get what I want. And we haven't seen the finish line yet. And I think that's one of the most frustrating and painful parts of the process, is that our soul knows it's instantly available, because life isn't linear. It's happening all at the same time. So there's no linear block between me now and me as my vision. There's no linear difference. I could instantly be in that vision if I was the person in that vision. Does that make sense? Right. And so since we're not instantly the person in our vision, we're waiting for the vision to save us, and then we'll be the person in the vision. Then we start to question whether or not it's possible. So, oh, I miss running with you too, Anna. You're so lovely. So this is really like where the rubber meets the road, is on a deep inner level. We all know that we can have these amazing things. We can feel it, but it's not happening in our lives, and then we get frustrated, and our mind is like, what's wrong with you? How can you feel this huge and yet be this stuck? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And then we get stuck doing examples. Manifest a green card to get to LA to pursue acting and writing, and now I'm doing recruitment contracting in the bank. Yeah. Awesome. So what question is in there, Liam, and then we can break it down. So I want to talk about, I'm finally remembering, thank you, Nicole, it's coming in from the right. I want to talk about the excuses we use at every stage, because this is how we might recognize where we're stuck, because sometimes we don't realize even where we're tripping ourselves up. I know, because I'm human, right? And I have my own blocks to myself. So in the vision, in the conviction piece, or in the vision piece, when we say, this is what I actually desire, sometimes we trip ourselves up by not desiring high enough, like not owning up to something big enough, and or we think that, let me skip this one for now because I'm just blanking out on that one. At the conviction piece, we tend to come up with excuses at that level. So the conviction piece is, but I don't have enough money, but I don't have enough network, but I don't have enough time. So what's really happening is that we don't believe it's possible. What's really happening is we're not sure we're capable, but we distract ourselves from that conversation about our real conviction. Do we believe in ourselves? Do we believe that it's possible to have what I want? We distract ourselves from that very challenging conversation, because the answers to that would cause us to go through some deep stuff. We distract ourselves by thinking that it's external circumstances that are blocking us from it. So we have this like, no, I believe it, but I can't. I believe it, but I can't. I believe it, but I can't. And that gets us to this level of extreme frustration, but really we're just looking around. We're not looking inward. So all of these things are about ourselves. So at the conviction level, what shows up is excuses about all the reasons why you can't have it, even though a lot of them boil down to belief. Now, at the action level, what shows up is slightly different. Let me just read what Liam was writing. I feel it's connected to me questioning what's possible, not so much a question as I can see it's my own internal block that's tripped me up. Yeah. Right. So this will be really interesting. So Liam, this is an incredible example. So any of us would be like, what? You manifested a green card to live in the United States? Like, that's a miracle, right? Like statistically, that's really, really a small chance, and that's a miracle. So clearly, when you're in that moment of alignment, your action supported your vision. So now you got something amazing. You applied for it. You got it. You moved. You did the action pieces. You've brought yourself here. So you're physically now here. But now we have to bring the emotion and the mind here as well, because there's more than one part to us, right? So we've got to bring all of us up to the level of this vision. So Jim Carrey talks about this, where he went and he wrote himself a check for $4 million or $10 million or whatever it was. And he carried that check around until he got paid $10 million. But you bring yourself up to that level of like, can I really receive this? Like, what would happen if you got a part? How would you feel? What would happen if auditions went really well? What would happen if you had a part that was like really challenging for you, or you got critical feedback, or you were with people who were better than you? Like, how would that actually feel? Because a lot of times we stop ourselves from opening to those opportunities and moving forward because of a fear of something that might happen. Either that we'd be criticized, we'd be discovered that we're not that good, we'd discover for ourselves that maybe we don't actually have what it takes. Like, that's a big fear. So that's all in that conviction level, because your action is there and your vision is there. But that conviction level is bringing up some challenges. So that's an awesome one. So the conviction level is where we get at those excuses of like, well, I don't know enough people, or I haven't had this, or I haven't had the opportunity, or I just it just hasn't been the right time, but I still need money and all of that. And then we see other people who manage to create things out of nothing with nothing. And we're like, how did they do that? And it's because all three of those things, vision, conviction, and action, were all aligned. Action being, again, yes, external action, but also internally creating the groundwork for your vision to come true. Like becoming the person in your vision. I can't stress that enough. You have to become the person in your vision. So sitting at home sobbing about what's wrong with you is not becoming the person in your vision. This is something I've personally struggled with a lot. A lot. There's a difference between you and your vision and you where you are now. And that difference is a feeling-based difference. It's not a money-based difference. It's not a time-based difference. It's not a connection-based difference. It's not a lottery win-based difference. It's not like, will somebody just, help me out based difference. It's a feeling-based difference. You here cannot have what you here has. You just can't, because you're not the same person. So this you has to come up here in order to get with your vision. You can call it law of attraction, you can call it vibration, you can call it whatever you want, but that's what it is. And it's not linear. You can have it in an instant because you can feel it. And then we keep feeling it because we're laying the groundwork to create the right environment so that when those things that we want come in, they fertilize, they grow, and all of that. It's just like planting seeds. We're not going to plant a seed in crappy dirt and then expect it to grow. And it's the same thing. We have the seed of what we want planted in crappy dirt because we feel terrible. It's not going to grow. So that's the action. It's the action of becoming that person. Hey, Mike. I'm sorry, I just ignored your text messages. I was on here. It's the action of becoming that person that you want to be. So I'm still blanking out on those other two areas where we notice it. But basically we say, okay, this is what I want. Why aren't I getting it? It's because there's a vision piece, there's the conviction piece, and there's the action piece. The action piece being within you. And at each of those levels, we can get tripped up. So I really want you to tune in to like break that out. So if you have something in your life that you're like, why haven't I gotten what I want? Let's break it out and let's see, was I actually really clear on what I wanted? And if I was really clear on what I wanted, because that may be the first trip up, you're just not clear, or you're not sure what you want. And then if you were, and if you are sure what you want, then ask, what are the unintended things that I think are going to happen when I'm that person and when I have all of that? What are all like the downsides to being that person and having that in my life? Because sometimes those are so strong because we want to be good people. We want to be good girls and boys. Sometimes those beliefs are so strong that they're actually going to stop us subconsciously from having that in our lives, from having what we want in our lives. So that's the first thing to look at. The second thing to look at is, okay, if you know what you want and you've cleared out those beliefs, or at least gotten clear on what it is that you think like is involved in all of that and come to terms with it, made peace with it, The second piece is the conviction piece. Do I actually believe I can have it? And if there's a part of you that's like, well, I can't because I don't have the money, or I can't because these people haven't helped me, or I can't because I don't have a website and an accountant, and whatever it is, like if that's coming up as part of your normal dialogue with people about why things aren't happening for you, then this is probably where we want to look. We want to look at conviction. Do I actually believe that it's going to happen for me and that it's possible for somebody like me? And we want to get clear on what somebody like me means and what possible for me means. And all the reasons why it might not be possible. We just did this in my mastermind group last night, or over the last week. We said, what's your big, 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 big dream? And tell me all the reasons you can't have it. Wow, is that illuminating, right? Oh, well, I can't have my big dream of writing books because I procrastinate and I'm disorganized and I'm this, and we go through all this list. That's this level of conviction. So we want to pull up, we want to like weed your inner belief garden and pull up all of those things that we think about ourselves, because that's standing in the way of us believing 100% that we can do it and we can have it. So we weed the garden at the conviction level. And then at the action level, this is where you ask the question of, am I living in the way that can take me to my vision? Am I actually practicing being my vision? Because the vast majority of us are saying we want something, but being really stuck being who we are. Well, I want it, but I can't have it, and it's not happening, so I'm even more upset now. I want it, but my bank account doesn't reflect that, so now I'm really angry, and I'm hopeless, and it's not going to happen for me. So, thanks, Mike. So at that level, that's where we have to look, and this is where daily habits come in. Like, choosing to be happy is a very, very brave thing, because most of us are uncomfortable feeling good. We're uncomfortable feeling good. We think it means that we're stupid. We think it means we're naive. We think it means people are going to take things from us. We think we're going to have the like, oh my gosh, well, what if I'm happy and then I'm complacent and then I don't want anything at all? Like, all of those fears come up when we make the choice to feel good. And so we have these amazing habits that we could bring into our lives, things like meditation, like running, like yoga, like journaling, like whatever it is for you, painting. It doesn't matter. And we avoid them like the plague because we think we don't have the right to choose them. We think we don't have the right to put ourselves first. And we think that somehow that's not how it's done, and that we have to play by these imaginary rules that don't feel good to get where we want to go, because once we're there, then we'll do all those things. But it actually works in the opposite. And I know this is challenging because I do it I'm a human too, right? I struggle with this every day. So we need to get our emotional system up to speed with where it is we want to go. Hey, Emma. And that's really where the brave work comes in. It's brave to look at your vision and all the things associated with it that you think are going to like not be that great. And it's really brave to look at the places where you don't believe it yourself and that you can do it. But it's incredibly brave to look at the ways that you on a daily basis are not allowing yourself to feel good and to live how you want to live, and not allowing yourself to choose just the decisions that put you first. Because that's scary, right? If we put ourselves first, we think people are going to be mad at us. If we put ourselves first, we think we might be culled from the herd and die. Like deep level nervous system fears here. And that's normal. It's universal to all of us. So when you go through this process, when you break out your desire into these three separate sections, and when you look at action, I want you to look at what would make you feel better, and what is it that, why is it that you think you can't do those things? And moms have this a lot too, like, well, I can't do that because a mom doesn't do that. Well, I can't put myself first because moms don't put themselves first. Like, we want to unpack that a little bit. Why, what reasons are we using for why we can't right now act like we would in the vision? So it all starts with the vision. This is why I'm a strategist, and this is why I keep talking about being a strategist. Like, it all comes from your vision. We get clear on how that vision feels, and then we bring those feelings into our lives now by making ourselves feel good. And if we're not willing to do that, then our action is completely out of alignment with our vision. And we can't go from hear me to hear me. We just can't, unless the actions are in alignment, if the feelings are in alignment. So I hope that was helpful. There's still that piece I was missing about, we use excuses at conviction, but how to notice it the other two. I'm just blanking on it. So I'll come back and follow up with it and whenever it comes to me. But I hope that was helpful. So break out when you think, why aren't I getting what I want? Realize that it's actually 3 steps and then a 4th step of that umbrella intention that's around. And so a lot of the time you actually are getting what you want. We're just not at the finish line yet. Sorry, I have a hair somewhere on my face. Oh well, you can't see it and I can just feel it tickling me. There it is. So there's 4 pieces. Now the 3 are things that you have control over, and then that overall intention, what I want you to see with that is that you do have the power to set your intentions, but also that if you're not there yet, then we're not there yet. Right? So there's things that you're getting along the way, and each moment of this, I haven't gotten it yet, is giving us a new level of awareness. It's giving us a new level of understanding. It's creating that fertile ground for your vision to then be received and to grow and flourish once it's ready. So we may be changing, we may be learning, we may be growing. So just because we don't have the full realization of what it is we think that we want, doesn't mean that we're not in the process of getting it. So that's faith, right? That's faith. That's faith that it's going to happen. Even if it hasn't happened now, it's happening. It's happening every moment, and this is just one step closer. So in those really down moments, we go back to that. We go back to that of this is a step on the way. This has to be cleared out on the way. This is brave stuff. It's brave stuff to get what you want. Really brave stuff because it's very focused, right? And everything that doesn't fit in that focus has to move out of the way. So I hope that was helpful. We break it down into these 3 pieces, that there's vision, there's conviction, and there's action. And at each of those 3 levels, we may be throwing some wrenches in our own wheels. And we talked in here about how to, what to look for and what questions you might explore to see where you're throwing the wrench and how to get out of it. And then giving yourself a break. Giving yourself a break. It's happening. It's happening. This is part of the process. We're growing. We're clearing out. It's going to be painful. It's going to be painful, but it's going to be magnificent as well because all the high parts are part of it too. So hope that was helpful, and I will talk to you guys soon. Mwah.